likes to call bad luck, but often it's a lot of what comes down to his deck choice. He thinks that he made the right call, and then it just does not work out for him. He wanted to give himself the best chance this time around. He thinks that Gardevoird is the play. Finally take some of that variance out of the way and just let him show off his talent.
He's going to have an interesting time of things here up against Kurt's deck. I mean, Kurt is playing Charizard. That matchup, I think, is close, probably slightly Charizard favored, but Gardevoird, of course, one of the strongest decks in the room, has lots of play out of it. But Kurt is also playing Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, this is a combination that we have not really seen. There was a little bit of highlight of this. Don't have exactly the results that came along with it, but I believe at the Monterey Regionals, the junior player had a very similar list to this and was seeing a lot of success. And I mean, look at this start though. How do you have success when you prize both Fan Rotom?
That's 2 Fan Rotom for Kurt. He does only play 2, and that is 2 Rare Candy for Grant. He also only plays 2, and 1 Kirlia.
And a Kirlia!
And a Technical Machine Evolution.
What?
Now, Grant does play 2 TM Evo, and he does still have a Kirlia, so we can still see a Gardevoird come into play, but that is not good, Kyle.
Well, I was going to talk about what you can do in this matchup, but who cares? It's all we need to see is a Wellspring taking out some Ralts or Kirlia, and this is good by Mr. Grant.
This could be a rough showing, but Kurt's setup may be stifled by those 2 Fan Rotom prize. We'll have to see who's going first, who can get the better setup. What a interesting start, Kyle. And these are some of my favorite games with Pokemon. You're bound to prize something bad at some point along the way. So how do you navigate the situation you find yourself in? We're getting into this game. It looks like Kurt is going first, and he has navigated himself into the best starter right away, that Ditto.
Yep, if he doesn't find a Pokemon here, but
I think I think it would fail.
Yeah, well, maybe right now he doesn't have any in play, so I don't like that for him. But yeah, this is a great Pokemon to see as you start off the game. However, he will receive some bad news. He does not have any Fan Rotom to move into his classic approach here, where you want to lay down, get those hoots, and set up for what is a pretty strong opener that you typically see. You have your rare candies, your Charizard, you can get aggressive, you can move into the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon and use that in combination with Crispin if your opponent has a couple of lower hit point basics that you want to work on, or if you want to soften up some of these EX Pokemon.
So Kurt's getting a little bit of bad news here. No Fan Rotom. We saw him automatically pulling all those Noctowl and Hoot pieces to the front. Not going to be able to get a bunch of those into his hand, but this transformative start Ditto will open up the entirety of his deck. He can grab any basic Pokemon he wants and put it into the active spot. Now the question is going to be, what will that Pokemon be? Will he go aggressive and try to pull off a Rare Candy Charmander play? Will he go with the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon? And it looks like he has given us the answer. It is going to be a Hoot found.
Yeah, is that like the most interesting tell for Grant? I feel his mind exploding at this point. when you see Hoot of all Pokemon taken, you don't see a Fan Rotom. But this is the right call for Kurt. He has the Air Balloon. He has already the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon in hand. He's got plenty of resources, and he just wants to gravitate over to that Noctowl. If you have Hoot in play, you feel a little safer.
No Charmander is a thing to note for Kurt as he does pass the turn over now to Grant Manley. Grant here sitting with the Earthen Vessel in hand. That can get rid of a Psychic Energy in hand, the perfect place to put those cards. Not before he kicks things off with an Artisan.
Yeah, Artisan, double-edged sword, as your opponent did not set up very much, and you will give over some of those basics, but this is what you do when you're a Gardevoird player. You care more about your setup than anything else, and it's important that you see these basics early on. We'll also find out the news that we found out with those prize cards. It's going to be an uphill battle for Ralts and friends.
Yeah, it could be tough for Grant to get a Gardevoird in play here, but if he is able to, he'll feel pretty decent about his position, I feel like. So, especially as he starts to take prize cards, he'll be able to find those rare candies, and then that'll become more Gardevoirs in the future. This Earthen Vessel will discard a Psychic Energy, the perfect place to put it, and then gets a pair of Psychic Energy into hand. Other than that, though, in his hand right now, Kyle, I didn't see much else. I think he's got an Iono and
I saw.
A couple Energy.
Yeah, you start to worry. If this were an Arven kind of setup, you'd see Secret Box and everything flying around, all the Psychic Energies to go along with it. It does not look like that is the case. So might as well grab these energies, throw them down to the bottom, because that means you have a better chance at seeing, some more basic Pokemon? That's what you need here.
It is definitely what he needs here, so that we'll see probably the Iono before the Artisan usage, trying to maximize the potential to get as many basics in play as possible, and an attachment as well to Pheasantipity. For a couple reasons, I would assume it can just retreat next turn, but also, hey, if he lucks into that one Technical Machine Evolution, that would feel pretty nice. There's a Ralts. Is there one more card to come? Evolution one time? No.
not the most unluckiest player ripping the TM Evo on the number 6. Couldn't be him.
Oh, and a really interesting card there I see in Grant's hand, Iron Bundle. I don't think that's a card I've ever seen in a Gardevoird list. What do you think of that?
Yeah, he didn't mention that one. That's a very interesting addition to the deck, and I could see how that could be pretty helpful in a lot of situations where your opponent just sticks the high hit points in mid-stage, end of the game, whatever it may be. You can just move that around and feel a little more comfortable.
You know what else it's probably going to be good against for Grant through this tournament?
Let's hear it.
Those Gardevoird opponents that are all playing Jellicent in their deck now.
Yeah, get this out of my way so I can play my items, please.
That is going to work out probably pretty decently for Grant if he finds himself playing against one of those. But, of course, he's got to get through this situation he finds himself in first. Don't think he's got much else here in the hand. A pair of Ralts and a Monkey Dory, really not a bad setup. If he had an evolution, it would be perfect. Now he's just debating, does he want to retreat here? Does he want to get this Pheasantipity out of the active spot? And it will be into the Monkey Dory, and is that it? A pass.
Okay. Well, at least it wasn't Routes. That'd be really bad here. We can see with Noctowl, you're not ever too far away from Wellspring, Ogerpon, getting in the mix and starting to take some prize cards, and we're pretty much there.
With the Ultra Ball, Kurt probably can pull off the full combo to go for the Torrential Pump. But the Torrential Pump is probably not... He might leave himself in an awkward spot if he were to go for it. It's something he's got to balance here. But from an Ultra Ball, Noctowl can get the Crispin that he plays, plus that Sparkling Crystal A-Spec. Do you think it would be worth it for him to use that Torrential Pump right now this turn?
Well, even if you do, maybe you just refuse to do the shuffling aspects and just keep the energies in play.
120 to the active, yeah.
As it doesn't seem like taking one routes off the board would do very much for you, and you want to have that consistent stream of attackers. And without a Charmander in sight, you need a little more time.
Yeah. Will just be a more setup-oriented play, it looks like, as Buddy Poffin is found, and a Crispin, so can at least maybe use that to get some energy cards into play. And off this Buddy Poffin, he'll be able to search his deck for any basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less, probably get another couple Hoot Hoots into play, and it looks like a Charmander will also hit the field.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at this deck, it's so interesting that this is where Charizard finds itself in the format. It needed the inclusion of a Wellspring Mask Ogerpon of all cards, but this does make sense for what this deck likes to do. It's attacking early enough, forcing the pressure. If you don't deal with this threat, then I'm going to continue to take over the board state. And if you do handle this, then you just charged up my Charizard to knock out most EXs in the game right now.
It is interesting that Kurt grabbed Crispin as his supporter for turn. This will allow him to search his deck for 2 energy of differing types. He gets to put 1 into the hand and attach 1 to one of his Pokemon. An extra attachment for turn, extremely powerful effect. But he's not going to be able to pop off and totally utilize it here. He's not going to pull off an attack this turn, unless he wants to go for corner on the Monkey Dory, and that could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, a little saw block every once in a while, never hurt nobody. You don't need to do very much right now. Getting the energy established on the Wellspring Ogerpon is great, because if you have that in combination with the Crystal and then a boss's orders, you could still go after double Routes Curlia combination and remove both those Pokemon next turn.
And it will be a retreat into Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. Sob will ensure that Monkey Dory is unable to retreat for Grant on this coming turn. Now, for Grant, what is he able to find? I still, yet again, see no Arven, but he is going to use the Hyper Blower of that Iron Bundle, force Kurt to send a different Pokemon into the active spot. Kurt will choose to push this Charmander, and now Grant will go for Artisan.
Yeah, it's just so interesting. Kurt probably not prepared to make that type of decision in this moment, but that's where he's left, and it does slow him down. It's a spot where you really wanted to keep the Wellspring in the active spot and threaten to have the energy along with your Sparkling Crystal and a boss's orders, put a bunch of pressure on Ralts, and you see Grant identifying that even though the Charmander's in the active, you still want to have that third Ralts and guarantee that you have a little bit of longevity. Yeah,
less so than being aggressive with the bundle, which I'm sure Grant is able to do with this deck sometime. This is just him trying to buy more time, him trying to get stabilized and get set up, and a great way to get set up is finding the pink card, Secret Box from the Iono.
Yep, did not find all the psychic energies to go with it, but honestly, you see one and you get excited. It's all you really need. Plenty to come with this, but I mean, you're still not doing terribly much. It would just be a Curly at this point.
Yeah, can get at least a Curlia in play, and maybe he's debating actually just Ultra Balling for the Curlia, because Ultra Ball was another card he found to save the Secret Box for next turn.
Yeah, and when you have the third Ralts, you probably feel a little more comfortable about your spot here, but this is a risk, because we know without the rare candies, without the other Curlia, you are at a risk with the Curlia being knocked out. You guarantee that there is no Gardevoird on the following turn.
And I think this right here is a great example of why checking your prize cards is so important in the Pokemon TCG, because I think many players would have just ripped the Secret Box right there, gone to get the Technical Machine Evolution, and then found out, oh, I only have one Curlia. So because Grant knew a Curlia was prized, he's able to make this play, save his Secret Box for a future turn.
Yeah, then there was a world too where you use Secret Bots, find some additional resources, then Ultra Ball, and you can go Curlia, TM Evolution, get the Gardevoird down, but you just have to remember you're still playing against a Charizard deck. Rare Candy Charizard Boss's Orders removes that Gardevoird, and you are completely decimated from that point. So Grant finding that middle play here, and you have to feel a little more comfortable with that Secret Box in hand.
And let's see what Kurt is able to do from this position here. Ultra Ball does get rid of Chi-Yu and a basic fire energy. That's a lot of energy hitting the discard pile now for Kurt, so another piece that he'll need to manage through this game. Looks like he's debating between a Charizard and a Noctowl. What are you seeing here in his hand?
There's not much else to go along with this, but when you see that you just have one Hoot Hoot, maybe it is just Charizard. You could have an additional resource for next turn, but you're really going to be limited from this point afterwards. You need to just bank on the hit points of Charizard keeping you around for an additional turn. You don't need to do too much else other than attack.
Rare Candy into Charizard EX. Infernal Rain pulls 3 basic fire energies from the deck and puts them into play however Kurt would like. There's a pair and a third one now being found. Also do, of course, have to give a little bit of a shout out to those sweet reverse hollow Heart Gold Soul Silver era rare candies right there.
Yep. Hey, you see that flex and you already know that's a man after my heart.
And I can tell you one person who does not care about the artwork, and that is Grant Manley.
Grant, yeah.
Could care less that his opponent's playing Heart Gold Soul Silver energy, but a little bit of respect.
Get that distraction off my screen.
Exactly. But Kurt is the one who will strike first now. KO the Monkey Dory. And what is Grant's answer going to be? He has Secret Box in hand. Pheasantipity EX will be online. Flip the script this turn. And a draw for turn is a Night Stretcher. Could see a Monkey Dory come right back into play. How's he going to navigate this? There's no Drifloon for Grant to take advantage of here. What do you think you'd like to see?
Right, as far as what you can handle this turn, Charizard's hit points are basically out of reach. You don't have an answer to that Pokemon, so you can switch over to a different strategy and try to target down something else with Screamtail. You can maybe go after the draw engine that you see with the Hoot Hoot and remove that Pokemon from play, but you have to be very careful at this point to not walk into the Gardevoird Charizard mix.
I feel like so often in these situations, we see the players go for a Mind Bend, try to slow the opponent down. And right here, the math will actually line up pretty nicely for Grant with the 20 damage he put on this Charizard earlier. A Mind Bend, that puts it up to 60. Excuse me, that's 60 more damage. That puts it up to 80. That means a Technical Machine Devolution later in the game could sneak a prize card.
Yep, not bad at all. We could see
look at all these energy.
that line up, and with Secret Box. It's not a bad place to see your energies.
Yeah, well, not the darkness energies, though. That's kind of the issue here for Grant. You want to discard those psychics, but the darks are such a nice resource. Now, Grant is playing 4, calling back to the Bradner and Henry Chow list from NAIC. Wants to make sure he can use Monkey Dory as much as possible, but has to be mindful of how many he discards. And he's grabbing Ultra Ball off of this Secret Box. He's not going to have many cards left in his hand.
Start to get nervous with that. But TM Evolution, Artisan as well. So basically just finding the fodder for Ultra Ball. The Secret Box might just be a Pokemon search at this point.
Now, I think Grant here is just debating what supporter to grab. Sure, he could research, discard his hand, draw a bunch, or Arvin try to set up, or Iono try to slow things down for Kurt. And I think more importantly for Grant here is hold on to the resources. He's got Darkness Energy in hand. He's got Night Stretcher. Maybe doesn't want to discard those right now.
Yeah, to find those Dark Energies later on would be nice. You also saw a little bit of a tell from Kurt in the previous turn where really was debating if Charizard was the right call there or going for the Noctowl, as no other Pokemon really made much sense in that spot. And that does lean into your opponent not having that great of a hand. And I understand the debate that comes along with that when you think, well, Iono would help me.
Grant will be able to establish the Gardevoird, evolves the Kirlia up, has a Darkness Energy to attach to that Monkey Dory, and Iono can be used as his supporter, putting Kurt down to 5 cards. Grant will still draw 6.
Not much else needed at this point. You could see some Psychic Energies, and it'd be helpful if they could hit the discard pile at some point in time, but for now, just to have those along with the Professor's Research for the following turn, not too bad. Energies will come into play. That means we'll see some damage. Mind Bend lined up, and now the only question is where do you put this damage? He likes the Charmander. All right.
I mean, I think this is just Grant keying in on what he's setting up for, and that is Technical Machine Devolution. Yeah. If Kurt does get another Charizard into play, this other Charmander could be hit. Once it becomes a Charizard, Technical Machine Devolution can effectively take 2 prize cards, a board wipe play lined up.
Yep, it's holding on to those energies with the Dark Energies on the Monkey Dory. If that Pokemon remains in play, you will have access to throw damage onto the other side of the board, take some of these board clearing knockouts. And if you're just playing against a Wellspring Ogerpon at the end of the day, you feel pretty comfortable that that thing will at least win. It can disrupt, but winning is a lot trickier.
We've gone past, I think, the point of the Wellspring Mask being a huge threat for Kurt here. There was a time where it was the scariest thing that Grant could have seen on the other side of the board, but now that Gardevoird EX is into play, he'll feel a little bit better about it. Kurt will use Ultra Ball, discards the Professor Turo's scenario and a Psychic Energy, searching his deck for any Pokemon, adding it to the hand, and it will be a Noctowl, using Jewel Seeker to find out a couple of trainer cards, another blinged out rare candy, big shout outs there, and one more trainer card can be found still. As Kurt, what do you think you'd like to see him do this turn with this confused Charizard? How does he navigate that situation?
I mean, it's almost looking like retreat time at this point with the Super Rod play to bring those energies back afterwards, but may just have enough energies anyways to have this Charizard lined up, retreat into that, and attack through.
Oh, he only has one. Yeah, just one energy left in the deck. So now he can retreat Night Stretcher to get the attack off. Is that the move?
It may have to be at this point. There's not much else. He's running out of fuel. 3-card hand to work with. Resources dwindling, and there is a stretcher, and it looks like a Crispin and Boss's orders to go along with this.
And this can be a problem with these Noctowl engine decks. Yes, very powerful. You get to pull off really cool combos, but you're not often advancing your hand. And Kurt here is able to pull off a combo, but his next couple of turns, where is he going to go? That's the question he'll have to figure out.
Yep, it's just so many different ways to navigate, but it's as simple as a confusion can just really throw a wrench into your plan here. However, you can just move past this. You have the energies you can retreat through. You have the new Charizard now, and it's a great attacker lined up, ready to go. It's just you're banking on top decks after this point.
Charizard retreats into the other Charizard, and Boss's orders brings Gardevoird EX into the active spot. Taking 2 prizes, Kurt down to just 3 remaining. Grant Manley still yet to take a prize card. Draw for turn here. He's got a pretty large amount of cards in hand. He does have Pheasantipity EX online as well. But he is staring down the mighty Charizard EX. What situation, what move is he going to go for? It looks like the first thing is Night Stretcher to bring back a Kirlia from the discard pile, his only Kirlia, and evolve one of these Ralts.
There's not much else that you can do at this point. You have your Monkey Dory. You're prepared to confuse once more. 80 damage on both of these Charizard EX puts you in a great spot for that TM devolution. And yeah, he's just going to go for another Monkey Dory. Having an energy on this Pokemon, it just means that you can go into more confusion if you need to, as you see Kurt just grasping at attackers, trying to close out and get over the finish line.
Yeah, Kurt went for the Gardevoird KO, but left Grant, of course, with this Monkey Dory. A bench of the Lily's Clefairy EX does get an energy attachment as well, and then Professor's Research, discarding the hand to draw a bunch more cards. Pheasantipity's flip the script, draws 3 more from the top. That is 10 cards now in Grant Manley's hand. Lots of options to work with, and there is that TM Devo.
Yeah, I don't dislike this either. The energy to the Lily's Clefairy means that if you do handle both of these Charizards like you expect to on the following turn with TM Devolution, you have the Lily's Clefairy to clean up on the Wellspring Ogre Pawn and take that Pokemon off the board, so long as there's enough Pokemon in play or enough Monkey Dories to move damage around.
Back over now to Kurt with 1 Hoot Hoot in play. Does he have a Noctowl to find a way out of this? He does play an Air Balloon, so that could provide the free retreat option, and he could find it here off of this Jewel Seeker, but then what's he going to attack with?
It's not pretty. It's so complicated from this point because you've already dedicated so many resources to these Charizards. Both of them are about to be knocked out, so how do you put on enough pressure to threaten to win a game so that your opponent doesn't have a TM Devolution turn? That's really what you're looking at this point.
Looks like it will be Sparkling Crystal, the A-Spec of choice, and Air Balloon grabbed out of the deck for Kurt. If he has a Boss's orders, he could take out both Kirlia and Ralts right now. He did just play a Boss last turn. Let's see if he maybe has another one here. He is going for the Torrential Pump. He's committing.
Yeah, I don't even dislike Boss's orders into Kirlia, knock out the Energy Monkey Dory at this point if you need to. But it's not great. You're leaving damage on board into a Monkey Dory. You see the Charizards waiting to be KO'd potentially here, but was this enough? As you still see Sparkling Crystal, but there's no threats on the other side. And if you TM Devolution, you just walk into a pile of Noctowls that can come back down.
That is a downside here, because Grant should know that if he uses TM Devo, there's a 100% chance that Kurt will be able to Torrential Pump once again, and Kurt does only have 2 prize cards remaining.
Do you think 6 cards would be enough to help him get over the finish line?
I wonder if Grant's move has to be like counter catcher the Charizard EX with nothing on it and stall for a turn, try to hope that that's going to be enough.
Yeah, you can get a count on how many energies are available and maybe feel a little better there, but you just saw the energy shuffled back in with the Wellspring. We know Crispin's in hand, so retreating this Pokemon would at least be there.
Depends on, how many energy are still available in the deck. Looks like a bunch are already discarded. Night Stretcher's already down as well, so, I mean, there is a world where that could be Grant's best play. Also, with Crispin, there have to be 2 different types of energy in the deck as well. If you only pull 1 out of the deck with Crispin, you just add it to your hand. You have to pull 2 out in order to get that full effect of attaching 1.
Well, let's see if we can put it together then. As it's 2 Psychic, 2 Fire in play, so it's a Fire and a Water that was shuffled back from the Wellspring. So 2 energy for Crispin would be available for a retreat on the Charizard, which would still be pretty dominant. Yeah,
this one is looking rough for Grant. He will go for the Night Stretcher here to get a Kirlia into play, just hoping he can get a Gardevoird EX in a future turn. He's actually going to bring up the Noctowl as the choice. We know Turo's already been used, and I think Grant is not feeling great. You can tell by his body language here. He's going to bring up this Noctowl and go for the Devolution, taking a couple of prize cards. It does bring all these Noctowl back to hand, but maybe he's hoping that this Noctowl, I guess this does work out, right? Kurt can't Crispin to the Ogerpon attached for turn and still retreat this Hoot Hoot. So
right.
I think Grant found the way here. Air Balloon is already down as well.
Yeah, moving this Pokemon no longer as easy as it once was. There is the copy of Latias, but I'm not sure if we've seen that Pokemon just yet.
No, I don't think we have, and I think we will here very soon. Nestball will find that Latias out of the deck. Kurt here back in the deck now with a Jewel Seeker. He is also eyeing Super Rod up. So a combination of Super Rod, some energies back, Nestball for the Latias,
yeah.
and then Crispin to reestablish. I think Kurt is going to have this game locked up.
Yeah, with
wait. He played Crispin. Oh, he's got the 2. Okay.
He should still be there. He got plenty of Jewel Seekers to find an answer to.
Yeah.
But ooh, and Wellspring somehow, some way closes things out. And what a ridiculous way to win a game here. Just attacking with Charizards, and then de-evolves into a bunch of Jewel Seekers.
Yeah, prizing double rare candy and a Kirlia, that has got to be really unlucky.
Yeah.
But Kurt, able to navigate things. I was a little worried with that Crispin because he grabbed the Super Rod, and I was like, oh, he's got to put the energies back first. He played the Crispin first, but no, did have exactly those 2 energies remaining. Works out perfectly. Yep. Let's get into a replay of that game number 1. The opening turns for these players were a little back and forth on the setup, but Kurt was the one who was able to strike first. Charizard EX, Burning Darkness KOs Monkey Dory, and then a couple of confusion turns for Grant. Kurt had to navigate his board a little interestingly, but Boss's orders KOing the Gardevoird really put on the pressure, and Grant was unable to make another Gardevoird for the rest of the game.
Yeah, we just saw back and forth here with Kurt now just switching over his strategy completely. After the TM Devolution, has to roll right back into the Wellspring Ogerpon, and he's got plenty to get the job done there, as he has access to basically everything in his deck from that point. And for Grant, you have to wonder, is he working on perfect information at this point? Because there's a lot to consider in this deck, and I don't think everyone knows a full 60 Charizard Noctowl list.
No, definitely not. Yeah, definitely not working with perfect information here. We are getting into this game. It actually looks like Grant has chosen to go first. Oftentimes we see these Gardevoird players choosing second, valuing their own setup. What do you think about this move, Kyle?
Well, this might just speak to being behind in this spot. You want to have a chance to evolve that Kirlia and then use the TM Evolution. So just buy that additional turn, that preservation that you have against a Wellspring Ogerpon. That's a card that he was really worried about, but of course he didn't feel like playing Shaman in his list. Didn't want to throw away some of his additional help.
Just an attachment of the energy for turn to the Monkey Dory and a pass, but Grant did put Artisan into play, and that is always a feels bad thing to do whenever you're playing against a Fan Rotom deck.
Yeah, there is a lot waiting for him on the other side now. Buddy Poffin, along with the Artisan, plenty of setup here, and this is the true power. We didn't even see this from Game 1 with the double Fan Rotom prize. This time around, Kurt should have plenty of resources and a lot more threatening of a board.
See what he gets established here. Lily's Clefairy EX in the prize is not relevant in this matchup, but an interesting tech for the weekend, I imagine, for the Dragapult decks out there. Take some one-hit KOs, navigate a couple prizes with the Wellspring Mask. Seems like a pretty interesting lineup. A couple supporters that could come up off of the many disruption supporters that we will likely see from Grant through this game.
Yeah, it's fun to see this Charizard used as a way to accelerate energies instead of as a main attacker, as we so often see it. But this is one of those matchups where you have to really lock in on one or the other. If you want to use it for the energies, the Wellspring has to be knocking out combinations of Ralt and Kirlia. If it isn't, just use the high hit points, use that darkness typing that you have, and run over Gardevoirs.
Would you see the Ditto come down? An attachment of an energy for turn could lead to that transformative start, getting any Pokemon into the active spot. But with the Darkness Energy attached, whatever Kurt puts up here could be getting confused. So can't really just go for the Wellspring Mask right away. We'll see what he gets. He actually, I guess he has to go for the Wellspring Mask.
Yeah, with this,
with all the with his bench being full, right?
Right, exactly. If there was maybe an extra space, you could consider like Latias and then moving into the Wellspring later on. But with this, it's not as fun. It does have the Area 0 underdepths to go along with this, so could have a pretty strong setup moving forward, but this opening 60 damage is not going to feel fun.
And that is what Grant is going to eye up right away as an option. And look at that Professor's research. You can tell by Grant's reaction and body language there, he's not pumped to throw all those Darkness Energy away.
It's literally the I don't want to play with this anymore meme, just over and over again for Grant. He cannot find a way out here. Looks like he does have the Kirlia, so can't complain too much. But just holding on.
He's got the Kirlia. He has Ultra Ball to go grab another Ralts if he wants it, and he will go for it. Discards an Iono and a basic Psychic Energy. The energy going down, of course, is good.
Yeah, it makes you feel a little better about the 2 Dark Energies sitting in your discard pile. That's how unlucky could you get, but we'll have one Psychic Embrace to lean into, but finding that Gardevoird might be trickier now.
There is the Mind Bend of the Monkey Dory, 60 damage, and this active Wellspring Mask is confused. So Kurt could find a way to still power up a Wellspring Mask all in one turn. If it's attacking with the active one, though, he's going to have to flip for that confusion.
Yeah, and at this point, you see the Gardevoird in the discard pile. You see your opponent really struggling to get set up here. If you shift over with this Noctowl, find Rare Candy and Boss's Orders, take out Kirlia, you might feel comfortable with that alone. Yeah,
I could see that being a decent play. Then again, the Monkey Dory would just come right back up and confuse the Charizard. So that's one of the interesting things about the mind bend of Monkey Dory. I mean, confusion doesn't mean you can't attack. You could still go for it, but players play so aggressively around the potential of getting hit by their own attack.
Yeah, it's decimating to see on the other side. You just lose an opportunity to attack your opponent. You give them that additional 30 damage that might be the difference in a knockout or a devolution KO at some point. You just don't want to ever sacrifice that.
We will see Rare Candy into Charizard. Infernal Rain pulls a couple of energy out of the deck. One can go to the active as a retreat option as well. Doesn't even need Latias. Can still, of course, retreat even while being confused. Sure enough, 2 to the bench, 1 to the active. And we will see the Infernal Rain. And I did see the Boss's Orders in Kurt's hand. Will he go after the Kirlia? That is the question.
Yeah, it's hard to say at this point. I feel like you should, being that you have the Ultra Ball for the following Noctowl into air balloon combos and moving back into this Wellspring. You might be able to target down that other Ralt and take that off the board too. There should be plenty for you.
Yeah. And you can tell Grant is not pumped to see that. Meagerly pushing up the Kirlia, getting KO'd, pushes up his own Monkey Dory. And now he's left with just a Ralt and a Monkey Dory.
As soon as you already know what supporter you want, the top deck gives you a research and makes you even more confused with your life.
And I think Grant will lean into the research here now with the Ultra Ball, now able to find Fezandipity EX. Research can find 7 new cards, Fezandipity 3 more.
10. I like 10.
That is 10.
He should be able to find something with 10.
And he could find Rare Candy Gardevoird as well, if he wanted it. But I don't even know how good putting Gardevoird in play would be right now. It actually would probably be kind of bad.
Yeah, it's not an ideal spot, being that you still see the Hoot Hoot. The Wellspring Ogerpon's available to knock out the Ralt, so you're kind of back and forth on what is the safest way to preserve this Pokemon. Is it keeping it low hit points and not a threat, or is it throwing all the hit points out there and Charizard wanting to attack after this Pokemon?
Looks like Grant did find Earthen Vessel and also Secret Box, so that of course unlocks plenty of options now for him. Will be Earthen Vessel first, getting a couple energies out, and probably a flip the script before the Secret Box, see what you're going to get before you fully commit to pulling specific cards off. What else do you think Grant would like to find here?
It just speaks to what he needs to do at this point. Is it find the Gardevoird, because you already see the Charizard in the active spot. You can confuse it and feel a little more comfortable that it's not going to be a boss kind of turn, because boss Rare Candy Charizard's a little more difficult to make happen. Or do you force your opponent's hand? As long as you have another Ralt in play, though, maybe that is where you go.
Yeah, I think finding another Ralt here would be really strong for Grant. He can get the Artisan off of his Secret Box. I actually think he may have the Artisan in hand at the moment. Let's see, and he did prize a Kirlia again here, so he can't even get Kirlia. It's going to have to be a Rare Candy play next turn. He could see a Night Stretcher potentially off the Secret Box. Yeah, kind of, it's just not looking great here for Grant. This matchup seems kind of tough, honestly, for Gardevoird after seeing it play out here now.
Right. If it's Pidgeot, he just places enough damage with Monkey Dory onto a Pidgey and removes it from play, and the devolution in combination with Iono just ruins the board and the game's over. But because it's Noctowl, the devolution is so helpful that it just gives your opponent win on board at the end of the game. You have to avoid that. And then how do you dance around to the damage at this point? He doesn't play Bravery Charms. He's not going to preserve resources in that fashion. The hit points, it is just really tricky to keep a board around.
It almost feels like he has to go for like a KO, the Teal Mask into a devolution play. You know, take that Terra Pokemon out of play, make it not a threat, so that when you Devo, Jewel Seeker's not going to be an option, or hope that it won't be at least.
Right, and it's just something that you can see Kurt play around at some point. He can always bring back the Wellspring if there's enough damage on it to where he tries to set up for a Monkey Dory move with the damage. He could play a Turo down and save that Pokemon, so it's just so many things that Kurt can think about, because he is Charizard, but he's also Terabox.
Right. Yeah, it's a really cool build to get to see on display here from Kurt. You can see how it lines up nicely into this matchup. You can think through how it could line up nicely into some of the other popular matchups in the room, how the Dragapult could work out for you as a matchup that you can play into. But we do see that Mind Bend confusing the Charizard. What kind of answers does Kurt have?
Yeah, well, with just the one Noctowl, it seems a little more tricky to set up for the perfect turn, but maybe there's something there. If you have Rare Candy Charizard, you could throw the 2 fires onto the Wellspring, find the water, and then go boss for the Kirlia Ralts. But is all of that there with Noctowl?
Yeah. It's a lot of pieces to find. He does have Air Balloon, so that's something he's eyed up as an option off this Jewel Seeker. Of course, now
he's got Energy Search in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some pieces.
Jewel Seeker searching for 2 trainer cards. Air Balloon is eyed up as the first one. Potentially not locked anything in quite yet. Rare Candy being considered as well now. Looks like Rare Candy. And what was that card? Is it a Night Stretcher? It's a
Super Rod.
Super Rod.
Okay.
By retreating these energies off, putting them right back into the deck.
And that means we're likely going to stick with the Charizard EX as the attacker then. You can retreat, move those energies back into the deck, bring out your new Charizard, load up onto both of those Charizard EX, have another one ready to retreat into for the next Mind Jack.
Ooh, does play Super Rod though. Is there, oh, there's already a couple of fire energies in the discard pile, so that'll work out to put the 3 different energies back in. Having the Psychic go back is nice for some Crispin plays down the line, so that makes sense. And Rare Candy into the second Charizard EX. This game is playing out eerily similarly to game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the most optimal way to do this, though. The retreat was better. Yes, the Psychic energy is preserved if you feel like you'll use the Lily's Clefairy at some point, but there's already a fire energy in the prizes. It's just 2 energies being pulled here. That we could have seen an additional energy on the Wellspring or the Charizard.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. I do wonder if he wants to make sure that there's the Psychic in the deck for Crispin later, right? Because you do have to pull 2 different types of energies out.
Sure.
That could be something that he's weighing here as an option. So maybe even if he had put the 3rd fire back, he'd have wanted to.
I kind of just want energy on board here, Chip. This is.
Yeah.
I want another Charizard to attack.
Well, it also works out nicely if he's just going to use. Oh no, he didn't take the Air Balloon, right? So he's going to go for Iono, sending both players' hands to the bottom. He will only get 5 cards here, Kurt, and Grant will get a fresh hand of 6 to work with. Let's see what he draws into.
Oh, he finds the Air Balloon.
Did he really? Found the Air Balloon off the Iono, so this ends up paying off and working out perfectly. All those energies get to stay into play.
Wow, best of both worlds there.
Now, the good thing for Grant here is that Kirlia did not go down. So he will be able to establish a Gardevoird EX if he wants to. And I do have to wonder, that is kind of a big if. Because Gardevoird EX is just an easy target. Now, Kurt doesn't have any Hoot Hoots in play. It's all Noctows. So if Grant can go for an Iono plus Confuse, maybe Kurt gets stuck for a turn, has to retreat.
Well, this is where perfect information would work out fairly well for Grant. This list only has 2 rare candy for Kurt. And you've seen both Charizards out. So if you have Gardevoir's hit points in combination with never seeing a Charizard EX ever again, I don't care if Charmander's still around with 2 fire energies. That's a pretty great space to be.
Yeah, and I wonder if Grant has to make that call at some point and say, oh, my opponent only plays 2 rare candy and lean into that.
How do they fit all of this?
Right.
I mean, you have to make cuts at some point, and it is on the rare candies. Just enough to get this card into play, accelerate the energies, but this is the risk.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see a Gardevoird TM Devo play here. That's a good call out from you. It would, of course, unlock so much potential for Kurt with all those Noctows going back, but like you said, no Charizard attack lined up. That would be pretty nice.
Yeah, it's just Wellspring and a Dream from there. The Lily's Clefairy isn't an option right now with that in the prizes, so.
Yeah, what would Kurt even attack with the rest of the game?
The attackers are embarrassing at that point, and it's always going to include Crispin, which means that you don't have to worry about your Gardevoir's hit points in the active. It would always be 1 price at a time sniping away at the bench.
Kurt does play a Terabogos EX, so that's another thing to consider. That's something that can come in and do a decent amount of damage, but it can't get through a Gardevoird. Psychic Embrace. After a rare candy on the benched Kirlia, or the benched Ralts into a Gardevoird, does put a little bit of damage into play. And a pair of energies, 2 on the bench, 1 onto the active Kirlia. We're going to see 3 damage counters moved over to that Charizard. A retreat into the Monkey Dory, and we're doing the mind bend thing once again.
It didn't work last time.
It did not.
Let's try it again. But you know what? You've seen a ton of resources. You've seen the Air Balloon. You've seen 4 energies already on board. Is there even the energies to use the Wellspring?
If there's no boss's orders this turn from Kurt, I think Grant is actually in an okay spot. But if Kurt has a boss, this could get a little tricky for Grant to navigate. He has already played 1 boss. He does only play 2 copies in his list. I think there is just the 1 boss in the discard pile. And that's actually a really fun interaction. The Sparkling Crystal does work onto the Charizard EX. And sure enough, confirmation there, just 1 boss's orders in Kurt's discard pile. None in the prizes, but he did not have 1 in hand. Has to go for Judge as his supporter for turn.
Chip, I don't know. Like when you think about what Kurt's able to do on the following turn, if there is a TM devolution, damage moved over to the Charizard, remove both those Pokemon from play. You just put down your crystal, so your Wellspring is not attacking for 1 or 2 prize cards at that point. You were all in on Terabogos, and that doesn't feel fun.
Maybe the only play Kurt has after Grant's upcoming turn, but Grant is going to have to piece it together here. He's got his back against the wall. 6 prizes down to 3, 2 fully powered up Charizard EX into play. Can he find Technical Machine Devolution? And he already has it in hand.
He's got the hit points of the Gardevoird. This is what we spoke on the previous turn, so it's still very relevant here. 3 prize cards remaining for Kurt, so he can hang on for a little longer. Already has the damage ready to roll, but if you want a Psychic Embrace, see a few more cards, might as well get those energies into play and be ready. But you don't have to do too much. It's just push the damage over to this Charizard, remove them both from play, and wait to see how Kurt uses his resources. He's just got the 2 Hoot Hoots and a Dream.
Yeah, I actually wonder if Grant could have lined things up a little differently with his damage last turn. He's probably playing around the potential of a 3rd rare candy. If he knew there was only 2 rare candy for sure, he probably could have KO'd one of these Hoot Hoots this turn and left the Charmander in play, right? Because you know the Charmander's not going to be useful.
Right. No, that's a great point too. It's just that perfect information. If
right.
he knew what he was up against here, I feel like he could navigate it a little cleaner, but that is not the case. He's still going to come up with a great play here, though. And although the Jewel Seekers are back, Kurt is working with not very much. This is a Wellspring Ogerpon. A lot of energy's down.
And this could be a really, really interesting end to this game. 7 minutes left in the round. Grant is mounting a pretty sizable comeback here. Kurt does have 3 prize cards remaining, so let's think through what the prize map might look like for him. If he can take out one of these Monkey Dory and then use his Terapagos in his last boss's orders to KO the Fezandipity, that's how he could close the game out. The question is just going to be, where does that extra 1 prize come into play?
Yeah, and with the way that the energies were spaced out previously, he was all in on reusing that Charizard on the following turn. The Crystal went there. He preserved the energy by attaching the Psychic energy, which even reduces some Crispin options in the future. There's no big attack right now other than back-to-back Terapagos. You'd have to just make that work with the Stretcher.
Yeah, I have to wonder if the placement of the Sparkling Crystal may be a mistake for Kurt. If he had Sparkling Crystal, Torrential Pump could be used now, KO the Kirlia, and then he has Terapagos to boss KO the Fezandipity. But he can't Crispin and boss, I guess, in the same turn. Maybe it was just always going to be a little awkward here for Kurt at the end of the game.
I mean, even if you just attack into Gardevoird, remove the Kirlia with the back half of the Torrential Pump, you can still win with the Terapagos into the Fezandipity later on. But yeah, it's the energy placement. It's just got me very curious.
Jewel Seeker does grab boss's orders and the Area 0 underdepths from the deck, so we can see Kurt go wide, put a few more Pokemon into play, boost that damage from Terapagos EX. But if there's a boss's orders this turn, that means there's no Crispin. Is he going for a Sob play, try to slow things down?
Well, Sob Block, we've seen it once or twice. it can be a pretty helpful tool, and Gardevoird's not known for being able to move around too often. If Fezandipity were stuck, maybe you're holding on for a few extra turns.
Flip the script, draws a few cards here. Mew EX was found as one of them. The Area 0 Underdepths also has come into play. Gets rid of Grant's Artisan. That'll limit his access to something like a Screamtail if he wanted to go for it later. We do see Buddy Poffin for Kurt. Can find a couple 70 HP Pokemon and put them onto the bench. Looks like a pair of Hoot Hoots will be found. But still no attack really lined up here.
Yeah, there's just the resources don't line up fairly well. You don't get an energy at all with the way that the Noctowl works because you don't have a way to search it out. The only way typically would be the Energy Search or the Crispin. We've seen the Energy Search, I believe, already. So you have to Night Stretcher and find energies out of your discard pile. It's just you're not using your resources very efficiently, but you're just trying to close out these last prizes.
Second Jewel Seeker does find Crispin and the Night Stretcher. Can bring back some of those energy cards. 5 different energies in the discard pile. Plenty of options to bring back with Night Stretcher. And it looks like it's 4 fire and 1 psychic. There is 1 fire prized. So there's a psychic and a water left in the deck for him to pull out with Crispin here, assuming none of those are in the hand. Boss's orders on the Fez, and ooh, it will be the Sob. And this will buy plenty of time if Kurt wants it here. Grant does not play Professor Turo's scenario. Fezandipity could be stuck here for a minute until it gets powered up, and we see a Cruel Arrow. And that is probably going to be Grant's best line here. And now I feel like Grant's biggest enemy may be the clock. I think Grant probably wins this game if it plays out, but Sob may ensure that it takes too long, and Kurt could become the winner of just a singular game. Of course, let's remember here, it's a change from last season. We're no longer playing 50 minutes plus 3 turns. It is now 50 minutes plus 1 turn. So as time is called, the current player will be turn 0. The opposing player will get plus 1 more turn, and then that's it. The game is over after that.
Right, and that means Grant needs to have the raw attachment every single time from this point forward. Can't overdraw and miss out on, well, he could run into some deck out options issues in that fashion, but he needs to have the perfect energy attachment and pass the turnover from the rest of the game here with 3 minutes, sub 3 minutes to work with.
So he's got 6 Psychic Energy accounted for, 4 in the discard, 2 in play. He's got all 4 Darkness Energy accounted for. So that means there's only 1 energy left floating around somewhere, which is in the prize cards. So he is going to need this Super Rod here But the problem is that he's going to play Super Rod, and he has no way to find the energies that he's putting back in. I think he's already used his 2 Night Stretchers so far. Are there 2 Night Stretcher in his discard pile? There is just the one, but he doesn't have the other one in hand.
I don't see a supporter to draw into these cards either.
So he's not going to use the Super Rod at all.
Yeah, that's a bit curious too, is you could at least maybe run into the top decks of it. But if he feels like the draws into an Iono or a Research are a little more favorable, then you want to reorder this. But this is just a KO.
Yeah, Kurt is going to take the knockout. Feels like he's bought enough time here. And Grant, in order to not lose to a Torrential Pump next turn, he needs to get another Gardevoird EX into play. And he also needs to find his 1 Bravery Charm and put it onto this Monkey Dory. He does just play... No, he does not play Bravery Charm. He plays no Bravery Charm at all.
Not all of them.
So he has to KO this Ogre Pawn on the bench, like right now. He needs to find his 1 counter catcher is what he needs.
Okay. Oh, the resources are so low at this point. It's just trying to work through. I don't even know if there's a way to see the rest of the deck here.
Yeah, needs to find his counter catcher, or if he just attacks this active Terabox, he has to hope that Kurt does not have a way to fully power up the Wellspring Mask Ogre Pawn.
Okay, there is Iono in hand, but now just some quick calculations. About a minute left to work with. He's going to hold on to the Ultra Ball and fodder and just go through.
4 cards from the Iono. There is an energy for the Monkey Dory. We do see that attachment happen.
Yes, Pheasantipity for even more draws now.
1, 2, 3. There's a Night Stretcher, Earthen Vessel, a bunch of energies in the discard pile. About 30 seconds left.
All right, he's got enough to remove the Terapagos from play, but he's not going to handle the Wellspring. With the Hoot Hoot in play, you start to wonder what else is left here for Kurt. Can he get the job done?
Grant has got to hope that this Iono has messed things up for Kurt. And Grant has about 20 seconds here. He needs to announce his attack, because in this situation, Grant needs Kurt to be turn 0. If Grant ends as turn 0 here, that means that the game is over effectively.
Oh, he's going to go with a play that doesn't take any prizes. He doesn't want to leave the Flip the Script Pheasantipity available. 3 seconds remaining. Card is drawn.
So that means
Grant gets 1 turn.
Grant will be turn 1. Kurt here will be turn 0. He has 1 prize card remaining, but I don't think there is a way for him to take it here.
You can't. With the Research, you just lost the Crispin out, but that's what you had to do. You had 1 card and then your draw for the turn.
And then Grant needs to take 4 prizes on his +1 turn to squeak out of this set with a tie, with 1 single match point. Yeah, Kurt does not have access to that Sparkling Crystal. It has hit the discard pile. If he had Crystal, he could potentially find an energy card here in order to Torrential Pump for the game. Counter Catcher is going to do him no good. He's been the aggressor this game. There is no way for him to use that as a gust.
Yeah, is there... I mean, you see 3 energy in play already. We know that there's still a few more Psychic energies to work with. There should be enough here to move the energy, move the damage with the Monkey Dory and be just fine.
I don't think there will be actually here now. Kurt, recognizing the situation, he retreats into the Pheasantipity, the Pokemon with the most amount of HP.
Lily's Clefairy, though.
Lily's Clefairy can reach for the KO, and then with the damage movement from Adrenabrain, yes, so Gardevoird couldn't get the KO, but Lily's Clefairy will. So Adrenabrain will move these damage counters, can move 40 onto the Terapagos to take the 2 prizes, and Full Moon Rondo on turn 1 of time will take a 2-prize KO on this Pheasantipity, and Grant Manley squeaks out a match point here. Kurt let that one get away from him, and these players will tie this round.
Is there any other way to close out a game for Grant? Nothing goes your way for 40 minutes.
Wow.
And then you find the perfect answer to take advantage of an opponent who's tried to get cute at the very end, and the pieces just weren't there. Grant finds a way to squeak out that 1 point. And I mean, kudos to Kurt, too. That is a difficult deck to play.
Absolutely. So many different moving pieces, so many options. Noctile decks already are pretty tough to play with